Welcome to this presentation. We shall be talking about women and social work. When we learn the history of social work, we often hear about the contribution made by Mary Richmond. And when we look at the history of social work, we find many players, many people who were responsible for beginning or starting the profession that we are practicing today. Across the globe, women from various fields have made their contribution. Even in India, there were many women who have made a lot of contribution to both the theory and practice of social work, in designing the curriculum, in guiding students in the field. But unfortunately, most of this information are not available with us. Especially in the Indian situation, we are finding much shortage of print materials on the kind of intervention made by professional social workers in India. And I think we need to go several miles before we can be satisfied that we are quite convenient or comfortable with the kind of training program that we have in this country. In 1998, the International Association of Schools of Social Work, they were celebrating their centenary year, and as part of that, they did a world survey of schools of social work, and the report is available in the website. You will find interesting data that among the 2,000 schools across the globe, almost 200 are in India, and more than half of them came into existence during the last 5 years or so, after the year 2000. And if you look at the social work education scenery in the country, we find that there's a kind of a disproportionate, the schools are disproportionately spread across the country. We have many schools in the state of Maharashtra as well as in the South Indian states. As we come up to the north, the number of schools are very limited. Worse is the situation when you go to the northeast. Just 2 schools, one in Mysore and the other in Silchar. Now in our meet, the kind of audience that we have representation from schools of social work as well as social work practitioners from across the country. We have people from the northeast, we have people from the west including Bombay, Maharashtra as well as Goa. We have people from the south as well as the north. So it's a kind of a mini India in this studio that we have. And next half an hour we shall be discussing about the contribution of women to social work education and practice in India. And to discuss that, I have on my right Dr. Ranjana Segar. She is a senior faculty from Indore School of Social Work. And to her right is Professor Vimla Nadkarni, professor in the Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai, specialized in psychiatric social work. I shall be discussing with them about various aspects pertaining to women and social work in the Indian context. So to begin with, I would request Dr. Ranjana Segar to briefly tell us about the specific contributions made by some of the well-known women social workers, professionally qualified social workers in India. Dr. Ranjana.
Thank you, Dr. Gracious. First of all, let me congratulate you to have this theme for your seminar, because although the first School of Social Work started way back in 1936, but I don't think we have approached this issue, that what has been the contribution of women. But as they say, better late than never, we have come today to this discussion. Now, women, as we know, they have been pioneers of social work. Not only in India but also abroad. Mary Richmond, as you said, she was the initiator of many of the practices that we are now very familiar with. So the women have been there, but it so happens in our society that males continue to dominate most of the discourses, and the contribution of the women, though they are there, but they are usually relegated to the background. So I'm very happy that we have this topic before us, and in this context, it is not that women have not contributed. They have, we cannot discount the contribution they have made. They have not contributed by any ways which we can consider small or which is not very significant. But unfortunately, the problem with our social work, literature has been that there has been virtually no documentation specifically of the contributions of women social workers. So when we actually go to collect data and try to find out, what have been the specific contributions, it is very unfortunate that we do not have much data, specific data to rely on. So when I started addressing this issue, there were not many things that one can come across. I'm sure there must be women across the country who in their own specific areas might have made very great contributions to the profession, but social work in the Indian context, I think, has lacked as far as documenting those best practices or those experiences has been concerned. So I think we as social workers, let me express this concern, we really need to address this issue. We need to give this to our PhD students, to our Masters in Social Work students, that they take up projects, even if it is on the basis of their own local schools which are functioning there, and trace the history and find out that what have been the specific contributions made by the women. So that will fill the gap that we have in our social work literature. Secondly, it's not to say that we are totally bereft or we are totally devoid of any such experiences. I think who can forget Medha Patkar? As we are all aware that she is a professionally trained social worker, and she is a social worker who is not only known in India but is known across the globe. So she is a celebrity social worker, a professionally trained social worker from Tata Institute of Social Sciences, and I think what she has done is a contribution that we cannot measure in a small terms. And as students, when we learnt about social work, the history of social work, what has contributed to our history, we are all very much aware that we were taught about the Gandhian social work also, and how we can draw from the Gandhian social work to our professional social work. And I feel Medha Patkar is a live example who has integrated the principles of Gandhian social work into professional social work and shown us the way how the best things can be taken from, things which we may not per se called, professional social work, but can be integrated to our practice. So I think Medha Patkar is the best example. She has brought her skills, her knowledge to the method of social action. Her knowledge has been mainly practice-based. She has actually put into practice whatever we have been taught in our schools. While we may be armchair social workers, but she has shown to us that what kind of an impact we can make, what kind of people's movement we can generate by using the social action method, if we really are sincerely committed, dedicated, and are compassionate about a profession.
Thank you, Dr. Ranjana. It's quite interesting to listen to hear about the kind of contributions that some of the women have made in the Indian context. And interestingly, Dr. Patkar was a product of Tata Institute of Social Sciences, and we have with us Professor Vimla Nadkarni, and I would request her to highlight about the kind of participation and the contribution made by several women who have graduated from that institute. I would also be interested if you could share with us about the kind of trend that you have in TIS while you give admissions to the students in social work. How do you take them? Is it 50-50 or more weightage is given for the males or the females? The audience across the country would be quite interested in listening to you, Professor Nadkarni.
Thank you, Dr. Thomas. I'm happy to be here on this panel because I think it's really made me think that what are we women doing in social work and what have we done over so many years. Definitely, social work has been considered a soft profession, and it's always been dominated by women. It's been dominated by girls, young women, taking admissions, and very few men have come into social work. The main reason being, first of all, it took a long time in our country to recognize it as a profession, and the salaries have not been very high. Social work has always been synonymous with charity and social services, and where so many people are anyway doing charity. So then, how is a trained social worker different from a regular social worker in the field? So from that angle, it's only very recently that with the kind of recognition that social work is receiving, the demand for trained social workers, professionally trained social workers, international NGOs having entered the field in India, we are finding that the salaries are increasing. There is also a lot of corporate social responsibility projects. So our social workers are providing leadership there and their salaries are quite good. So since there's better monetary benefit, we find more men who are supposedly holding the breadwinner position in families, they are then happy to come into social work. So we do find that while it's still dominated by women at the admission stage, we are having more and more men coming from the rural areas, from the backward areas. We do find a lot of men coming forward because I think culturally, there's a cultural pattern there, because in the rural areas, it's the girls are kept back and the boys come forward. So obviously the boys have greater chances to go in for higher education. So there are more boys from the rural areas wanting to come into social work and other professions. So in the urban areas, of course, girls are quite empowered, so you'll have a lot of girls coming. So that is the status of admissions. In fact, I would like to see more men coming into social work, but let us focus on women's contribution.
Well, Professor Nadkarni, I still have one more question to ask you, which will enable us to understand the kind of trend in admissions, the kind of job opportunities that women can look forward once they graduate from schools of social work. That would give a kind of a picture in the country, especially our own students from schools, the BSW students from IGNOU, who are from across the country. We have students from all over the state. From every state in the country, we have students enrolled with IGNOU. So many of them do not have any opportunity to know about the what, why and how of social work and where they will be going for their practice. So if you can highlight about various areas where social work graduates are getting employment in our country. Professor Nadkarni, please.
I think now we are moving away from women and we are coming to opportunities. Are we talking of opportunity for women only or both women and boys at the BSW level? As far as women go, what has happened traditionally, we've had the public health system, for example. We've had family service centers, family welfare agencies. We've had community organizations, okay, the community-based organizations. We have non-government organizations who have absorbed our social workers at the master's level. So our master's level students, women at the master's level, have had opportunities for getting both into the government sector and the non-government sector, wherever these social work positions are there, especially in hospitals or in the non-government organization that has started service for children, for women, on special issues like cancer, drug abuse, and of course now HIV/AIDS. So I mean, the range is tremendous, and of course, industry. And today we talk of corporate social responsibility. So the range is tremendous. Today we also have international organizations that have come into India, a lot of them who are competing with our local organizations and who are absorbing our social workers. If you take the National AIDS Control Organization, we have many openings for counselors in the district hospitals, you know, in the voluntary counseling and testing centers. So we need more social workers, both men and women, to come into these positions. And of course we have we need faculty, because we have an increasing number of departments of social work opening in different universities, self-financed colleges coming up all over the country. So we also need social work educators besides social work practitioners. So there is scope for a lot of women and men to be absorbed in these positions. But as far as the bachelor's level is concerned, we have to seek we have to seek positions for them. I remember teaching in the Nirmala Niketan. We had started the bachelor's program in the 1970s. Armaiti Desai was the pioneer of the Bachelor of Social Work program in the College of Social Work Nirmala Niketan. And there was some attempt to create positions for bachelor students, you know, at different levels. In fact, when we analyze some of the positions, like even a hospital social worker and the kind of work that the hospital social worker is doing, we felt that a lot of that work can be done by a bachelor student rather than a master student, and the master student could look into specialized area of counseling and very special areas for intervention. But unfortunately, in our country, we started with the master's program. So it's very difficult now to go back in history, and we really have to lobby as a group with the government and with organizations to absorb bachelor students, because I know that they can be excellent field workers. And since there is a trend in positions where we are finding our women and men getting absorbed at the supervisory level, because of the master's degree, they are getting jobs as program coordinators, project coordinators for programming, for developing programs, for developing research programs. Who is going to be in the field? So we need very good field workers, and our bachelor students can be excellent field-based workers. I mean, they can always go for higher studies later, but even if they were to commit 5 years of their, after the bachelor's course, or even 2 years, work in the field and then go in for a master's program, I think it would benefit our communities tremendously.
Well, Dr. Ranjana could perhaps add on to what Professor Nadkarni has spoken about the areas. And in addition to that, we are also interested in hearing from you about the kind of schools of social work. I also understand that there are several schools exclusively meant for female students, and there are also schools having certain specializations in the area of women, children, family. Perhaps you could highlight on those issues.
See, here I would like to disagree on a few points, because my experience tells me very otherwise than what Dr. Nadkarni has just said. She has said that the number of the women taking admission into social work is higher. But when I see around my state, I find it just the reverse. When I took admission, we were just 8 girls in the whole of class of 40. And they tell me in the previous batch, which was my final year batch, there were only 2 girls, and before that, there was only 1 girl. Over the years, I have seen the number rise, because I have been attached to an institution, I have been a social work educator, I have seen the numbers of the women seeking admission into social work rise, but they are still to come to that 50% level of the class. they are not 50% of the class. They still are, 1/3 of the entire strength which gets admitted to the schools of social work. At least that is the case in Indore, which is a very old school, more than 50 years old. So it may be different in other states. I have no data to rely on, specific data, but this is what I have seen. And this is, I have seen in other schools of social work also. Normally women do not dominate unless it's an exclusively college for women. Then the story is different, but when it is a co-ed institute, I'm sorry to say that the number of the women, I don't know for whatever reasons, we have a very, most of the schools of social work have a competitive exam for entrance. Either they are not able to compete, or we do not have many women offering their candidature, what may be the reason. But the schools of social work initially did not attract any women. Now you have talked about the specializations. In that context also, I'm very sorry to say that within our own social work field also, there was a lot of bias and discrimination which was practiced. And I was almost a victim of it at the time, because there were certain specialization which were exclusively for women, like you have the family and child welfare. Who will go for it? A woman will go for it, No male candidate would normally opt for this specialization. Trends may be different today, I really do not know, but this was the ground reality. So there were certain areas exclusively which were the domain of women, other areas which were exclusively the domain of male candidates. And the best example is the field of labor welfare and personnel management. When I was a student, before me the history was that not even a single female offered this specialization. Maybe this was the impression we had, that this specialization is not open to the women candidates. And when I said I want to opt for this specialization, there was a lot of resistance. And along with me, two other women came along, who said, okay, we will also take this. My director called the two of them. He didn't call me. Maybe he thought it was very difficult to dissuade me, but he called the other two and he told them that you will be taking away the seats of 2 male candidates if you opt for this specialization. And mind you, that time this specialization was offered on the basis of merit. So they were in the merit. But they were counseled separately, and one of them did opt out, but one of them stayed put. I think from then on, the number of the women who are offering this specialization has been going up. And even I remember being confronted with this, people telling me in the industry, why are you coming to industry? This is not a place for women to work. Why have you opted for this? This is a very rough field. So I said, why not? When I'm a social worker, whether I'm a man or a woman, what difference does it make? And I want to see what is so exclusive about this field. It was more the fact that what lies behind. For me, that why it is reserved only for men. Anyways, there was no looking back. Now the number of the female who offered this specialization has gone up. The attitude of the industry has changed. When we go to place our students, the response we get from the industry is, please, preferably send women. They have a very sobering effect on the labor. And if possible, one boy and a girl should be placed. This is the ideal combination. But do not place a boy alone. Now this has been a change in the outlook of the industry also. So today, with the gender kind of boundaries diluting a little, I think this kind of a discrimination we had earlier is gradually dissipating, and I'm very happy for it, that more women are entering into those specializations which are traditionally considered the male domain.
Well, before we get on to, exactly, I'm coming to you only. It's not a debate. What I want to know from President Nadkarni is, you are the head of the Department of Medical and Psychiatric Social Work. What's the kind of trend in TISS and perhaps in other schools of social work where you have specialization in that particular area of medical and psychiatry? Is it more female, is it more male, or is it a 50-50 trend? How do you see that?
If you are talking of the institute, we definitely have more boys going for community development. That's their preference. And rather than family child welfare, medical and psychiatric social work, etc. But if you look at the change that we have undergone, now we don't have departments, we don't have specialization departments, we have restructured, we have schools. So we have a School of Social Work which is independent of the School of Human Resource Management and Labour Studies. I think we've always taken a stand that labour studies and personal management is different from social work, and we've always maintained that. So, I mean, one can talk of social work in industry, but when you're talking of labour management and personnel relations, it is independent of social work. We have now centers. So we have Center for Health and Mental Health, Center for Social Justice and Governance, Criminology. Now, criminology and social justice and governance, we have a lot of males coming in, and the health and mental health, because of work on substance abuse and HIV/AIDS, we are finding a trend of more men coming in. We have not had ever problems of discrimination. I mean, I was a student in 69 to 71 in Tata Institute. I'm sorry, I didn't want to reveal my age here, but never mind. And we have never faced discrimination where women were stopped from either coming into social work or labour welfare. I think it depends on the situation, the context. If you are in a metropolitan area, then the norms in that, will affect how gender is viewed. Or if you're in a small town, you're in the northern belt, the response is different than if you're in the southern or eastern belt. So I think we need to do a